Everybody. 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 here with Tish Talks Tech, and today we have a very special guest. We're at Share, beautiful Orlando in the Rosen Center Hotel. We have with us Joe Winchester. Can you believe it? Special time today. I didn't post out a time because I knew that I would have a lot of folks that would be coming through and would be sitting down in the nice little chatty cubbies. But I'm so happy that you're here.
Likewise, it's a pleasure. Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is really, no. It's all mine. You are so funny.
Well, I'll take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
It can go lots of different ways. Could be like I have a funny walk or
No,
funny accent.
absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. Your sense of humor is infectious.
Thank you.
We've been sitting here talking for a little bit, and I have been in stitches the entire time.
Laughing in stitches, just in case anybody we have to be surgery or something like that. Letitia's just laughed at everybody.
Absolutely. So, look, you have a phenomenal career. And
Thank you so much.
no, seriously.
This is brilliant. We need to meet more often.
I know.
You're like my little happy girl. Can I put you in a jar?
Yeah,
just wake up and having a bad day. Just open a jar of like Letitia's thoughts and just like,
Right.
yeah, wow, thank you. Thank
You're
you so much.
welcome.
Phenomenal career. Thank you.
I mean, reading the narrative that you wrote, because I send out to everybody, like, tell me more about you,
Oh
because
my gosh, you did. You've done your own work. I get that.
yeah,
Oh wow, the truth will come out.
truth will come out. It hits us, and
Judge and jury.
you provided it. You did in
Did
your
I?
own hand. Yeah.
Keyboard. Yeah, it was.
So-
I'm so sorry. It's really hard because when you ask somebody about themselves, it's because the best way to know about somebody is to say the things like, "How would a friend describe you?" Or I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, but you know what I
Right.
mean. Like people's opinions of themselves is very subjective, right?
Mhm.
If you through the mirror, through the lens of themselves, sometimes it can be not who they really are, right? So in a way, it's kind of like, I don't know, at work, if we try and appraise somebody, an employee or something, the most fair way to do it is to kind of collect it from their colleagues, people they interact with and things like that, right? But they come back, because that's the only objective way to do it,
Mhm.
because unless we're in like, I don't know, sports event or something like that, it's pretty hard to say, well, who won, who came last.
Yeah. But you gave
Did I?
some really good answers to tell me about you.
I would go.
I'll
But
bring
you
them
have it.
up.
You
I'll,
have it.
I'll bring them up.
Matt would like. So that's fine.
Yeah, it's time. So you put yourself through college doing something that I had no idea. The whole gaming background.
You're going back a long time. You're going like way back into the past. We need one of those movies. What's it when you have a movie and they go back into the past? That all goes like, "Woo,"
Or,
and then
yeah.
we just reappear and then like, I've got hair. It's like the 1980s. And they got like my peroxide hair. I used to have peroxide hair. You're a hairdresser,
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have a funny story about hairdressing. So my natural hair color was, before I went gray, lost it all, was kind of like a brownie hair color. And it was a time when there were all these bands and everybody, all the cool guys, right? And it was kind of like new romantics, it was the post-punk era. So you didn't have to look like completely gross, right? You didn't have to look like. So there was a lot of class for dressing up, a bit of flair, and there's a little bit of kind of like, kind of gender fluidity. And so a lot of that stuff was being introduced in the 1980s. And I love that decade. The guys were just, it was like, I can't think, like 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 or Flock of a Seagull.
Yeah.
Or even people like U2. If you go and look at early U2, this guy's just, David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust. So, my hair was really long. And people saying, "Is that how you did?" So there was this particular thing you get, and you're supposed to take it with you when you went on vacation, called sun it.
Oh,
And it was like a
yeah.
little spray. It's supposed to just fit, I'm a little, rub it in and whatever, and your hair would naturally fit. So I'm sitting there, and I used to have what's called a flat top, so your hair would go upside down. I used to put my hair upside down with a hairdryer, a big can of 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. So gravity would be like pulling my hair down, and then I would be like the hairdryer in one hand, spraying into position with the 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 in the other. Like, God forbid if I ever walked, like somebody dropped the match.
Yeah, it would light up in flames,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, it was. But and then I just had this plastic, the plastic
Yeah.
toys, like the play people or the Lego people or
Mhm.
whatever. I had that crazy. Anyway, and I wanted to get it like kind of blonde on top with a little, like fade it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have enough money to go get it.
Right.
So I did a DIY hair. And then it didn't work out. It didn't work out.
Really?
It's kind of strange color. And you can get a battery. You can get them in the US called like 𝗬𝗀𝗀. They call it copper. That was my nickname at university, for the 𝗬𝗀𝗀, because I looked like, and the commercial used to be like, I think now it's like the batteries last for a long time. They go like the copper colored top. They had some little jingle or something. And I would walk around and people go like, "This Joe, the copper colored top." Oh my God, you're making me reveal this to the internet. I can't believe this. Could we just be lying?
No, it's live.
But anyway, so that was the 1980s. Why did you ask me something actually quite interesting about my education? Why did I start talking about my hair?
Because it jogged a memory for you, and that's okay.
It did.
Yeah.
Wow, I thought that memory was dead and buried.
No, it came out. It's here. Welcome to the internet. No, but that's really good though. That's good to know. It's a visual of you with like the mohawk haircut.
It wasn't a mohawk. It wasn't a mullet. Wow.
It was a mullet.
It wasn't a mullet. It was not a mullet. Just for people who didn't know, I have never had a mullet. It was called a flat.
A flat top. Okay, so yeah, flat top haircut with the sun in, and it was super hard.
Yeah. And it was the 1980s.
80s.
We were just, and we were just wild.
I love that for you.
I mean, we were the 80s, yeah. He put out a kid the other day. He phoned me up. Maybe it wasn't the other day. It's probably like 5 years ago. I was phoned me up the other day. And it was like, "Dad, pick me up." I'm like, phone goes off 2 a.m. I always have this thing with my children. It's like, whatever happens, you can call me anytime, day or night. And I'll come and pick you up in your taxi. I don't need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
Reason why, I'm there for you. So phone goes off. So I get in the car and pick him up. And it's like, and they're playing. So I pick him up and a few of his friends. They didn't want to get a taxi back. Driving you all around. In the morning. And they were like, they were singing this song, and it's like, and they've been dancing to it all night long at disco. And I'm like,
that's Toto, right?
Yeah, I'm like, dude, that's 1980s. And I'm like, no, it's so good. Yeah.
Oh, did they think it was new?
Oh, yeah. They thought it was just new.
Oh.
And that's what happened with so many cool 80s tracks. Like, I mean, ABBA's like a 70s band, but it's all coming back.
Yeah.
Coming back. Oh, yeah, the 80s.
They thought it was new. That's cute.
It's so cute. And you have this bond and you can connect with them, and they're like, yeah. And they said it was new, and it's cool. And then you play them the video for it, and it's like the funniest video.
Really?
Yeah. By the way, if anybody's bored, you can always just Google for the YouTube.
Right. And watch the video, by the way, because it's kind of cool as well.
Very cool. Yeah. There's kind of like figures, and there's library, and
yeah.
So it's just weird stuff going on. Yeah.
Absolutely. No. Let's stay here for a minute because those videos were shot like complete feature films. Remember?
Yeah.
And they would play them on MTV, and it was so cool. I remember staying up late at night because I was a kid. Listen. And we watched those just to be able to see what video was coming up next because it looked like feature films.
You get like Vienna by Ultravox. I don't know if that made the US or even like Michael Jackson's Thriller. I think he actually got a proper film director. I can't remember his name now. To actually direct him. The same person who did American Werewolf in London. Same director. Mental block. I'm getting all the top of his name. Anyway, very famous film director. Yeah, but they really introduced that genre, off the video. Video for BAT and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like somebody pointed the camera.
Exactly.
Right.
Like a proper storyboard and direction and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we love that. Those are good times, weren't they? Yeah.
They were. And people didn't have videos on that. They couldn't capture everything on their phones.
Mm-hmm.
All the bad stuff that I may or may not have done, or you may or may not have done. Nobody can see it. That stuff recorded already there.
Too late.
But if you watch the I say about my dad, like what they were doing, it's like, oh yeah, no, I never did that. No, we never did that.
There's no proof of that.
No proof of me ever did stupid stuff.
So yeah, no, those were good times. Thank you for sharing that. I really love that expression. But I want to find out, because a lot of folks that watch the show are like new to Z, new to tech. Yeah, I forgot what we were doing. We're having so much fun. We can't. It's live. Hey, but everybody is always like, well, how do I even get started? Everybody that sits on the other side of the couch, and today we're in these nice comfy chairs. Yeah, they're kind of bouncy too. It's kind of cool. Everybody starts somewhere. And yours was kind of sort of like video game. Can you tell us more about that? Like, how did you start?
It's a mess. I had my career in IT start, so it's kind of by accident. When I was, IT wasn't really a career kind of when I started. So back in 1981, so we got way.
And you were super young too.
Oh, yeah, I was born in 1966. I was like 14, 15 or something, 1981. I can't do the maths actually. Yeah, anyway. Then and I have a family of one of four, and my grandfather bought a little home computer. It's called the Sinclair ZX81. I don't know if it ever made it into the US. Literally, it was like newspapers. Then we there was no internet, right? Literally, they took out an advert home computer, and it was like, yeah, okay, I'll buy. It was expensive at the time, so he bought it for all of his grandchildren. It's like one family present. And for my brothers, you would get software like, I don't know, cassettes. You would have magazines where you would like get the software listing and you could type it in. Yeah, in like basic, literally. I mean, they weren't really sophisticated games, but it was like, the paddle game, like the pole, where you would move something around the screen with the keyboard. My brothers would play games. They were gamers, but I wasn't that interested in playing games. I was more interested in like, I would type in a listing for the game, like from the magazine, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool, but I think I can make it a little bit better. I think I can do something interesting with that. Maybe I can make it so we can add an extra level to the game, or that character where you typed it in and you can figure out, actually creating a shape. Maybe I'll create a different shape, or maybe I'll do something interesting. And then you would, so I'd basically mess around, right? And that, I really enjoyed that. The creative side of being able to write something down. And obviously you make mistakes and you make a spelling mistake. You would crash the whole thing,
right,
trying to fix it. And it was it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. Just creating those games. Like really, I mean, we're back in the day, and then I just kind of grew up with that as a kid, but it was never going to be my career. There was no such thing as being a software engineer. The university I went to, I have a master's degree in genetics, the science of 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. It's like, biochemistry and, DNA and things like that. And it's very important now for like medicine and genealogy and stuff. But at the time, it was just very, very, very early times. And definitely achieving genetics. Food fooling around with like plants, fruit fly, just, really simple organisms. But I always was interested in the idea, in the craft of creating something, rather than the craft of being the consumer. And that's really quick feedback, because being able to write something and see it echoed back in results, but you don't have to wait for ages. It's like now, where you can take a picture of your phone. So my son, he was taking a picture of, and he was trying to line up a perfect shot. He had a film camera, and he bought a film camera, and he was trying to get used to the fact that you could only push you only had like 12 or 24 exposures. With digital camera, everything's instant. You don't have to prepare, you don't have to think. So the idea of being a creative photographer, and he preferred to use film, and I prefer the idea that you don't have to wait so long to get it developed. So you can see it, and if you don't like it, you can instantly. But that quick feedback loop is still like being a musician. You get going, that's not quite right. I'm in my hand playing, that's better. That sounds right. There's something really nice about it. Being an artist, you touch the brush and do the palette, and that doesn't quite work. So I'll just smudge it and start again. Maybe being impatient was my problem. It's a gift and a curse, but having that, being able to be productive quickly, and that just basically launched my career in IT. And then the very first, I remember being literally when you could buy the first color computer. I was like, wow, my God, it's color. Or you could buy, instead of using a keyboard, people were like, oh, okay, it's games now, let's have a joystick. You have a little paddle, like you see them on arcade machines. Buying my first joystick and saving up my money and buying it. And then I actually ended up selling games. So I ended up selling games listings to magazines and software companies. I column in a magazine when I was a teenager. Basically, I used to write anonymously under this weird pseudonym. I used to publish like a figure of my face blacked out. It was like, how to hack your games. So people buy games, and then maybe they only had like 3 lives. And I'd be like, if you fool around and do this, you can get like 999 lives. So if you can't complete this level because it's too difficult, just type this and you can get to the next level automatically. I wasn't about making money. I was just about people just enjoying themselves, right?
Yeah.
So I'd go and get games listings and try to reverse engineer them and just see what was happening and understand, fool around and make mistakes, sometimes stumble on terrain. I just enjoyed that. It's just creative and it was fun. When I was at university, so I remember the university I was at, I used to have to go at night to get my programs run. I mean, it was like dark. Literally, because like I didn't have any time on a university computer. I had like one, I think it was like a 𝗧𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀 or something really old. And I ended up, the university got an Apple computers. I think it was the Apple II model anyway. And it was the first graphical user, one of the very first graphical user interfaces you could buy. So up until then, it was all like text-based. Very similar to the kind of mainframe would have been back in those days as well. I was programming in Cortex. And I remember seeing the creativity of it. It was kind of the blend of the project I was doing, which was all about modeling DNA structure, which is kind of like the template for life, and picturing it as a shape. And the experience I had with game software, and it's going, you know what, it's so productive, because what it meant is that people could literally type in DNA sequences and I'd say what they're going to look in vivo, see a picture of it and rotate it and zoom in and zoom out. And it was so much more instantly. It was literally like a light bulb had gone on, literally like a new color had been invented, or a new dimension or something like that, or a new sound. And I just remember looking at that and just being smoked. I would literally stay up all night long at university, and literally till the sun came up. When you're young enough, you can pull it on.
Yeah, right? You do that back then.
Yeah. But,
I'm not by 9 o'clock now.
Like in bed by FLC. But no, I do remember thinking, and there's a few of us, and there was no way you couldn't get a degree. If you had a computer science degree, you were like a hardware engineer. You'd be employed by hardware company.
Yeah.
So like the idea that software was actually something interesting. So I just remember literally having a favorite, and I just sit down, my parents at the time, and everybody was like, I was going to be a biochemist, I was going to be a geneticist, which is a phenomenally worthy career. In a previous life, in a weird like sliding doors movie, I would have been a geneticist, and I would have loved to have been good enough to go into like, DNA is very important for helping people with better lives, right? Avoid disease, or avoid health issues, or maximize the DNA that they were given by their parents, right? I didn't choose that career, so I choose a career because it doesn't exist, but a career in software. So I literally threw away all of my training and just said, I'm just a geek who wrote magazine artist, and was just as fell in love with this technology. And so the phrase, every movie you watch, doesn't matter whether it's a Disney movie or whatever, or you're reading a Bible story or whatever, it's all about like, just be who you are. Don't be somebody else. Don't be the vision that your parents want you to be. Don't be the vision you think you should be. Follow your dream, right? You don't have to dream big. Your dream can just be. I saw the Barbie movie on the plane coming over here. I love the bit at the end when. Have you seen the Barbie movie, right?
I have not seen all of it, so you can't.
I can't do spoiler alert.
No, you can, but maybe everybody else has this.
Okay, I won't do. But there's a
But you can tell us what your favorite part is.
Okay,
that's okay.
The favorite part is the bit at the end where they say, we're going to create the Barbie doll that's just ordinary. The person who just wakes up and just is happy to get through every day, and happy to, maybe a mom, or just happy to get through every day, or happy to get through every school or whatever, or just, that's where letters that, that they got whatever, right? You don't have to be like the Nobel Prize winner, or the tallest or the fastest, right? You might have those dreams, but most of you are kind of unattainable. So just be happy who you are. Be happy you got through that day, and be happy that your cup of coffee was nice, or the fact that your hair was right, or whatever it is, right? That's a thrill. That's a bonus point. That's power. Yeah. So I'm really fortunate, and I managed to. I had no idea how much money I would make. I am blessed. I have a good career, and I have house, children, wife, nothing like that. So it is a good career. But whatever you want to do, whatever you're happy, you'll find your group. So I was just super happy. Yeah. So when I went into computing, got my first job in 1988. And big companies wouldn't hire me because they just looked at my resume and they were like, "Who are you? You haven't done computer science. Why do you have a master's degree in genetics? And you're just somebody who wrote video games, right? And hacked video games, But I was very fortunate. A very small company was taking 2 graduates in that year, and they took 1 computer scientist and took a punt. And I worked hard, and I did prove my graph. I remember one really good piece of advice I got from somebody in my career. So when I first went in, I was really competitive. I was like, it's all about me. I'm going to get my program working faster. I'm going to, I was still competitive. I'm a competitive person. I like to run, and, I like to be, I'm never first in the race, not unless everybody else didn't show up. But I enjoy it. I enjoy the running and staying fit and healthy and things like that. And I enjoy seeing other people win as well. So I like to kind of, around my little running club, we organize events, and sometimes I'll be the timekeeper. I get as much passion about seeing somebody new, like a 𝗧𝗶𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 person, or somebody that's never done it, especially if somebody's ever coming back from perhaps. I was pacing a race the other day, very slow pace for me, and I started chatting to someone next to me. He just came back from chemotherapy, and we still keep up. And it's like, I'm like, I just wanted to stop and give him a hug, and because I couldn't. I'm like, he's like, yeah, I couldn't work out, and he was struggling and walking, and we were slowing down, and got him through the race, and that's it. That's my year. That's my job to be my comment. But where were we talking about? It's like being yourself. But I remember one of the first advices somebody told me in the career is that it's not about you. This is about the team of people that. So when my first career first started, and my lad, I don't know if it's a swear word, I've said it out. I was a bit of a jackass, and maybe I still am. That's my kids really good. But the idea that it's about like helping others, slowing down, giving them a happy day. I had people who mentored me and gave me that. I'm really pleased that keep that back on. Just slow down. Being a parent and others as well. Being around younger people or even older people or whatever. Who perhaps don't have the kind of speed of thought that you do. Like with my kids, when my kids were growing up, they had a problem crying. I would always, one of my teachers, one of their teachers told me, it's like crouch down, being engaged, pay them at eye level in their world. You have to be in their world and say what's going on, and then like, you've got too many people that share, and when maybe they're holding a stick. So you're going to stick, what's lending me a stick? And I stick for the sticky. Hey, want a sticky like for breakfast? I mean, you're entering their fancy, and then once they accept you in their world, then maybe you can lead them to better places. And maybe now you should wash by your hair. So maybe now you should have a piece of fruit, or whatever it is.
Learning how to care.
But it's the empathy. It's a super power. And you must have that. If you can empathize with whoever you are. So that's one of the first things of my advice. Software is like, you're always part of the team. Always part of the team. You're always employed by an employer. And your success is the success of the people around you. And yeah, sometimes it's nice to be first in a race. It doesn't like to be first in a race. But if you can get to the point where you can enjoy watching everybody else achieve something, and they pick up their medals, and they pick up the accolades, and you just sit there and go, I was part of that. I didn't get any credit. I didn't leave my name to be listed, but I was like, whatever, the person that shined their boots or just, the person that was kind of in the locker room that just, whatever, and then they go out on the pitch and get the glory. If you can genuinely make that your fire, then you leave the world as a better place. I don't care what that's my North Star now. So that's what I try to do. I mean, I'm old enough to retire. So when you can retire, I'm 57. I could retire, but I couldn't take the rest. So for me, it has to be the end every day or whatever. I'll just be like, and then we chose a bad spot to read. Yeah, so that's 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. That's a long word there. It's so British. But I said the word tomato. The back it's one time we were like a buffet something, so 𝗧𝗶𝘁𝗵 years ago. I said the word tomato. She said me so funny. It's like shrieking with laughter. What's so funny about that?
Right. Because we usually say tomato.
Exactly. Right. Yeah, there's a whole song about that, isn't there? You say tomato, I say tomato.
Yeah.
That's funny. We should just get some like rocker wigs. When I go, it's you. Yeah. So you asked me about one of my advice. So the most important thing is to start be you. Don't be somebody else's used to be. Try better who you are.
Right.
Don't beat yourself up too much if you fail. Don't be a jackass. If you do, apologies.
Apologies are always nice, right?
Apologies always nice. Always ask for forgiveness. The other thing is like, to really ask for forgiveness, you have to demonstrate. So you can say it with a word. You go, I ask for forgiveness, but you go out and just jackass.
Right.
We all can. True forgiveness is like, I am now going to invest in time of my energy, and really, I'm going to work.
Yes.
So I'm really going to get down there and really, I wouldn't say the word beg forgiveness, but I would really demonstrate it. See my actions. Actions are more expensive.
Yeah.
And I would really do that. So it's really important to do that. Yeah. So
it takes more effort.
It takes more effort, and you will end up being a better person. I mean, I have, and I'm sure we all have in our lives. I have some to them now, but I have some things that I've done where you've been a jackass. I shamed people in front of others in work meetings. I've sent emails and copied other people. I shouldn't have because I was in a bad mood. And afterwards, if you think, well, the other thing. So my grandmother, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents when I was growing up. She kind of Victorian, very, very proper grandmother, very nice. And I get a lot of my personality. I mean, she was just like, she had very few phrases. One of them she had was, I think we talked about it earlier, like God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. So now I'm doing a lot of talking, but being out of this, which makes you more divine than me, which you but it's very important. Like if somebody comes to you with a problem, and I get people who have, whatever, I have my own problems I need help with in life, we all do, we should all ask for help. Somebody comes to you with a problem. First of all, don't have the answer to that problem. I love the word mansplaining. Right? It's my favorite word. I was told it by somebody who was quite clearly mansplaining at the time. She said, "What's your death?" Like, what's mansplaining? It's just like, that's what you've just been doing to me for the last 15 minutes. It's like, really? And then, because I was talking about some technical bit to do with whatever, and then she told me about her background and everything, and it was like, oh my God, you're the expert. And I just sat there and just, why? Why did I do that? Why did I forget about my family? That's something so important to listen to people. And if somebody tells you the problem, do not have the answer. You have no freaking idea. And if somebody says, oh my God, and you get like, what's wrong? Somebody says, oh my God, I've got some awful health diagnosis, I'm a terrible story. Obviously, that's like, to scale, okay? Everything else that is not your. If somebody says, oh, I have a problem because, I was trying to grow some coriander this morning, and, you've just got to, and sometimes it's the small things that break somebody. And especially now, I'm not going to manage, but I've lost friends, I've lost male friends to suicide. If they had opened up, is there something we could have done? Everybody has that little survival illness. And the thing that probably could have done more is just listen. Right? Listen, that ask someone, you see them, that face, that little hug that you give them is not quite off, they're not quite the person that they want to be. Just listen. And the other one, that's what my grandmother said. God give you 2 ears and 1 mouth. If you're ever unsure in any situation about how to behave, imagine the roles reversed. Just flip it.
Yeah.
Right? And I have this a lot when I'm dealing with issues where I'm privileged. Like I'm a bald white male guy, right? So all the cards are stacked from. Right?
Okay.
So I understand, that's, whatever your ethnic majority or whatever minority or to the race or gender or sexual orientation or whatever. Right? You're not, the kind of full white male guy in the room. You have to think, what is that with me? What if that comment that I just made was flipped around? Would I feel awkward? Would I feel insulted? Right? If I use a male pronoun, if I talk about some story that takes to like a kind of colonial era type thing like that. Another big example is like recently, like we had this whole, I worked for Linux Foundation, we it called the mainframe project. This whole thing came through. It was after the BLM and Black Lives Matter. And it's like, you have a GitHub branch called Master, right? And everybody was like, wow, you know what? Just rename that to be called Main. I was like, okay, that's going to take us a while to do. That's a lot of work. We have to go in and do some engineering. What's the reason? Somebody said, well, and I know Dr. 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 is very active and vocal about this. And that's like, after a while, when I learned more, I'm like, oh, that, well, yeah, that's offensive. I get it. I totally understand it. We're going to invest that. We're going to be more inclusive. We have male pronouns and things like that. And the way I understood that is I put myself into somebody else's shoes and said, yeah, I would feel uncomfortable in that environment. I would feel uncomfortable about everything, like, whatever it is. We're going to wait for it, right? But this is just let other people. So if somebody else that you're with, if you think, well, is that person truly the best that they can be in the race? Are they really getting it, right? And if they can't because of something, there's some barrier, your hidden barrier, try and see that or try and empathize and you can't just, don't come up with some little catchphrase or some meme or whatever.
Right.
Work at it, invest the time, stay late, and fix the problem, just get rid of whatever it is and stopping them from being the best that they can be. But just move on and don't have the answers. Right. Because the answer, everybody's journey comes, that's not like a Disney movie. Everybody's journey comes from within themselves. Everybody's journey comes from themselves, and your role is to help that person find that journey. And I get a little annoyed, not a little bit, but something if I come to a podcast like Cheryl, and I go to a minute, somebody lecturing it. Now, there are some great lecturers.
Yeah.
Dr. 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, he's a lecturer, he's a professor. He's a wonderful man. The University of Welcome from England, as you mentioned here. There are people I listen to all the time. Some have few arguments, but I listen to all them. Connect with you. Can, and what makes the superpower that we've been there? Connect with people that make you feel something. So if you go to a class and you're about to, you think you're going to teach something, you think you're going to do something, and then you go to a room with a lot of people, they'll teach you. That's not the energy that's needed. Don't bring the energy that the talk is going to do that. Just connect. We'll come around the room, ask some questions, have a conversation, connect with other people, find their story, find their journey, find their time. And then your job is to help them do that. And you might leave that worry, that hour, that meeting. I might spend the whole day at work where I get in, I go, oh, I think I know what I'm going to do today. I have this big list of to do things that I'm going to get this done. It's going to be great. And then you dial in and somebody else comes in. And they have to do their stuff. They can't do something. They have a question. That is your number one priority. Your number one priority is to help. Reserve some time for yourself. Make it so far behind you, build enough stress or workload. And make sure that you pace yourself such that you can do that. Yeah. That's the most important thing we can do. Like, be that guy runner, be that person, and be so invisible. So they don't, kind of like parenting. I feel wonderful about parenting. So my eldest son, he's grown up now. He's 26, married, beautiful wife, living, having a really great life. I remember years ago when he was like 4.
What's that all about? Is that like all 4-year-olds? I think so.
Yeah, reasonably. Yeah.
It's international. They all are.
I have the answer. This is going to help. We're going to. We were watching a movie, and I think it was like something like that. Some great kind of kids superpower connects people together. It's all about a superhero family. It's a fantastic film. It's a universal film. So I remember saying to her, and I'd run above. It's getting cold. I don't want to waste that whole. And I just said, okay, let's do. I mean, just goofing about, but Nick in the bath.
But you tapped into what he cared about.
I wanted to do something. I wanted to get got clean behind the ears. But it's like, you find out what that fire is in that person. And it's like, wow, we never had it. I mean, before then, we was fighting, bribing him, fucking money, everything possible. I was giving him chocolate bars. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Just in case you all parents do that.
He's 26 now, so.
He told a choice, to get slapped. He'd take that bars. That's not true. Nobody's slapped their kids. But you know what I mean? Sometimes you take care of that. But no, it's so true. But that's the advice I'd give to anybody in the mainframe job. Find your fire, find your passion, and don't be. I'm not allowed to swear. Don't put up with any BS. There's another phrase that says, like, don't wrestle with a pig, they both get muddy and the pig enjoys it. The internet, social media, blah, whatever. You need to reach on into somebody else's dark space, and they will draw you in. Not just one person, like a whole community of people. And you can see that, and I see that all the time now. Like, that annoys me. But do I want to go there? Do I want to spend time? I'm like, no, I don't. It's life. And there's so much life and beauty in the world, all around us in the communities around that. And again, I remember having that from another teacher. I see in my son's school. She called me. He'd been bullied that day. Something had happened. 6-year-olds do bad stuff. So I went and picked him up. It was great. It was great. So what she did was, I was probably quarreling about who's savers, dump a trap, something. But she was like, don't focus on the bully. Don't give any attention to the bully. I mean, at that age, I'm young now, right? She was like, don't even call him out. If you say after you go sit in the naughty step, you go sit in the corner, he's going to scream, or she's going to mock. That's one of those ones I can do about, like, I love that gender neutral pronoun. It's like, yeah, a few bullies out there. They are.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But whoever they are, whoever the bully is.
Yeah.
And they are, like, people bullying can be really, really nasty. Oh, I mean, worse, like shaming. And yeah, it's almost, I mean, yeah.
It can be bad.
It can be bad. I don't wish to gender that anyway. Bullying is anything about where you're asserting a position of superiority and stuff. So she's like, no, we don't do that to the bully. What we do is we just shine light on the victim, the person who is. We make the bully feel so excluded that they're literally gonna just hurt themselves. Realize what I did was so bad because it's making me feel bad. I think me feel bad, and then the good behavior brings in the beat. Then we have a better planet. And the same is true as well. If there's some situation and some argument going on or whatever, you can see it happen. Somebody's struggling, spend zero on it, still no attention, shine no light. You have a searchlight, you can decide where you want to use your energy, use your spark. Just direct it on whether it's good stuff happening, whether it's people struggling, whether it's people where you see you've got a holiday, it's like all your energy, just all the money, all the time you have into that. Just ignore it. Just let that go. Let that fall. Maybe they'll come. Maybe they'll walk into the little kind of code you have where you have some videos and they'll join in.
No.
I didn't even talk to you about it, friends. Okay.
This is the culture part, right? And when you're new, a lot of folks don't know how to navigate. And, what is it like working with teams? And what is it like? It's very different being heads down, and then all of a sudden, oh, wait a minute, I have to work with an entire team of people and not knowing how to interact and doing that sort of a thing. And you've really shined the light.
Value. Yeah. If anybody, it's to be a team player. Just if you think you're off, everybody knows when their sparks off.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. If you don't think you can be a team player, step away. Step off the field. Just ask for to be benched. Just don't do it. Don't go there. Just don't. Right? Check your laptop. Check just whatever. Make a smoothie. I don't know. Whatever it is. Just do a good time. I enjoy lots of smoothies, banana, little protein shake, whatever it is. But you know what it is? Find your mom, listen to some music, listen to podcasts, just get some sun away. But the main thing is really interesting because it is like over 60 years old, 60 years, I think this year. The older mainframe was once upon a time with the younger people, right? So don't call them like grandpa and grandma and just laugh at them.
Exactly.
It's because that's just. Well, it's bullying. It's your acting from a position of power and dominance. Now, you as the younger person might always feel like you're being bullied by the young people, and you probably are most of the time in your life. But don't reverse bully. Right? Don't just stick the boot on and all of a sudden kick the ladder out. Right? So they do have something to teach you.
A wealth of knowledge to teach.
But you have a wealth of knowledge to teach them as well. And sometimes you can teach them how to be young again, which is basically how to invest, how to not get stagnant, how to not become. And you see that a lot with the mainframe. And under that, this whole revolution going on. People are using new tools and practices and languages and things like that. Show them. I can make them remember what it's like. Because once upon a time, they were you. Right? And I step into those shoes. You don't use. And I do see some of that when we come to bullying. I do see sometimes people saying jokes about older mainframes. Right? I'm an older mainframe, right? And it's not going to help you get your friends. You can just say that person's a fossil because they use screen and see the world in black and green. Do you know what I mean? You're probably not even going to make him feel bad, but you're going to miss all the energy. It's like when you fire a little dart gun, it falls on the floor.
Right.
It's rude, it's disrespectful, but not only that, you won't become a better person because actually when you tap into what their fire is, you'll find that they're actually really, really smart. And it's really cool. But not only that, because I'm part of the TikTok generation, I'm part of whatever. I grew up with a different. I grew up so well. Like I said, like color computers were first invented. Can you imagine? And some people grew up from where they were programming with punch cards and other programming with computers and stuff. And it does take. It's like wonderful music. Love. You can take classical instruments, right? If you look at really, really good musicians understand this, right? I don't know, like John or 𝗏𝗶𝘁𝗵, who else? They will have like people playing violins and trumpets and trombones, instruments from the 17th century, classical music instruments, but very relevant, in a modern song because they get it. They're like, you know what, I need that sound, and I'm only going to get that sound from somebody from like, people who trumpets or
a French horn or something like that.
Whereas I like classical music, I can go to listen to a piece of Mozart, and maybe a French one, play the same thing from the 1700s and stuff, because they get it. They get it. You can still create that modern sound. But people need to be aware of that. It's not just all about electronic synthesized sound. Sometimes you need that real formula. Artists understand this all the time, right? They're constantly tapping into media. That's the other thing I often think about. Because my background is not computer science. IT is often taught, computer science is taught as a science. And I don't want to be controversial. I don't think it's a science. I think it's more of an art. It's more of like a craft. It's more of like it's more creative. It is a lot more artistic. It's interesting because it's like you're painting a picture, but a lot of people have brushes. So that's why you can't be, push people out of the way and just like say, and you might, you put that piece of color on the canvas and I'm going to paint over it, or I'm going to color over it. It's just like, let it be, because you don't actually, because they've got a vision to finish results. So do you. But your team, you're creating this collaborative. But let them bring whatever tool they want. I see that a lot of the time where people get into like, even here at Share, some of the talks are like, this versus that, old versus new, ISBF versus VS Code or whatever it is. And I'm like, does it really matter? Right? If that person is productive and they're comfortable, let them be.
Are we still getting the job done? Is it up to standard? Are they getting the job done?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then Why pick a fight? Why start?
Do you get pushback on that?
On what concern?
On that part, on the ISP?
It's very yeah. So I was actually at a bank. I was traveling last week. I was actually in Sweden visiting a big mainframe customer, and I was really lucky. I was invited one-on-one to talk to them. 160 people in the customer, and there was pushback and there was standardization. It's harder because from a corporate point of view, sometimes it does help to standardize. I have an IBM laptop in my bag. It's given to IBM. I only have the software and that IBM allows me to take one. That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to go so wild that I can't get team player. Like if I start doing stuff, if I start capitalizing everything in a different way or just using something completely different, like have a look at like, that's kind of weird. You don't fit in. You're just so different shape. But to a certain extent, you want to let people, it's more like fashion, right? We all know what's permissible to wear, but we can all bring our own style, and that works. So I think there should be a bit of leeway, but I don't like the discussions about old versus new because it just feels wrong. I don't know. There's not a word for it. It's like an ism, like a time-ism, or fast-ism. Like everything with ism at the end. It's just like, you got to look at it and go, really, does that belong? Yeah. So it's a strength. It's a superpower. I saw a really good talk recently given by actually 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. I think she's a BMC, really good, wonderful executive. Works in mainframes. It was a GSE conference. She talked about mainframes, but legendary versus legacy. And it's very much about your perspective and how you look at things. There is an element behind that. What's interesting is 𝗧𝗹𝗶𝘀𝗵. So in England and the UK, we have something called English heritage. So when it's a really old building, you can preserve it. You can make it modern, add modern windows to it. You can add underfloor heating. You can do it. You can let it rot if you want to. And it used to be, and the fact that you start to look at something as your heritage, and you start to appreciate it, and appreciate the people who lived in that building, and what they did at the time, why they added it on, why that staircase goes the way it did, and why it's not, the stone is really thick and stuff, but you can do modern things, but you can still preserve the integrity of the original architect. You can create beautiful things. Just before this, I was walking downtown, and my brother and I went downtown Orlando, and there's some beautiful buildings there. Really, really beautiful buildings that were just preserved, but really sympathetically modernized. I love that. All day long, I can walk around and look at history. And then there's some other buildings that are probably just been torn down and they built something in the 1980s that now looks worse than the thing from like the 1900s or the 1850s, right? And the main thing is, it is that heritage legacy, not legacy. The worst bit's a legacy, but it is a heritage. So we've got to look at it and think it's something important. And again, just like music, there's a wonderful line by 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, a beautiful album called Graceland, where he kind of did Graceland. Anyway, it's a wonderful line. 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 is from Southern Garfunkel. There's a wonderful line that says, every generation throws a hero at the pop charts. I listened to the album. It's one of my favorite albums at university. And every generation throws a hero at the pop charts. Everybody's allowed to do that, right? Every generation grows up with whatever, but the incredible artist, I don't know, the Rolling Stones. I'm British, so I'm just going to start in lots of British bands. Elton John. What they do is they reinvent themselves. Madonna's American artists, they reinvent themselves. And it's not every generation throws them up the pop charts because they reinvent themselves with the generation, and they go, now it's all about what happening. This is interesting. Or this new instrument's come along. This new sound's come along.
Right.
Let me blend that in. Let me just work on that. Or, like we were talking about music videos have come. Let's blend that in. Let's be that person that does something incredible. You need a story time behind the videos, okay, professional things. So reinvent yourself, but don't lose the roots, whatever it is, whether you're blues or reggae or something. Connect with what's your fire? What makes you want to get up and dance? And mainframes do. What makes you want to get up and dance is, for me, it's just it's a community of people that you've got. So.
That was a good. No, it was a good analogy,
well,
because you have like you said, so you have the music, right? Music decided that it wanted to have music videos, and we talked about how those music videos were like full length feature films almost.
Mm.
So mainframe, same thing. You've got this really robust engineering and computing and hardware, and then you have this evolution of things that just keep reinventing themselves, and you get this new sound or new people that are coming in, and they're blending and mixing, just like the way the music is evolving and blending and mixing. And I love how you stated that, and it was so eloquent. And I'm just kind of like, but I'm getting it. I get it. I know everybody else is too.
Hey, if anybody's still,
I forgot that they were here.
Yeah.
It's okay.
But yeah, no,
it's just us in the
do like that music. And the call for like if you are an experienced mainframe, don't just sit down. Don't be the guy. I know there are bands where I go to now, who I grew up in the 1980s, they're still playing the same songs. Really? You got no new material? Really?
Mm-hmm.
You know, reinvent yourself, bring some fresh. Don't just bring them in as kind of like, oh, by the way, you're going to play what we used to play in the 1980s.
Right.
Bring them into the creative process. Let them in the room. Let them say, this is my song. This is my whatever. And the same is true with IT or just anything in life. Bring those people in. Bring them into the work. They can be empowered. Yeah.
Is that what you were doing with the Open Mainframe project?
If I did bring this down, you're trying to grab this.
Are we not supposed to talk about that?
No, of course we are. No, I just love the fact that you've got your list of lists. Yes.
We don't even have the list. This is our funny thing.
Funny, we shouldn't talk about that.
We're not going to.
We're not going to talk about that. Yeah. Except now, it's like, what is I not going to talk about? Yeah. So the Open Mainframe project, that's really interesting. One of the proudest things I think I worked on is it's called 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. It's like an 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 IDE integrated development environment, and I worked on it. I was actually hired by IBM to pretty much work on that project.
Wow.
Back in long time ago, maybe 1991 or 2000. Yeah, I think it's 1998. Anyway, whatever, long time ago. That was an open source piece of integrated development environment, really successful for IBM and for Java. But when it came to the mainframe, I used to work on it with non-mainframe technologies, and people had to part of them. When it came to the mainframe, it was still very vendor centric. Everybody built their own software stack. Back in, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 years ago now, so 2017, maybe even earlier. I remember, so IBM, I was involved in a team doing some very mainframe modernization, right? Basically looking around and saying, okay, we need to really modernize the platform. And we then wanted to do, we can't just give it a coat of paint that's, going to burn off, right? And that's after one season, right? We need to go deep. So I was working on that project. And then now Broadcom had bought a company that's computing sessions. They were doing the same thing. Like they were our rivals, and then it's sort of rocket software. And somebody smashed heads, basically. She was actually a very strong female executive and a very large mainframe customer. Had relationships with all three of the vendors, and she said, you're all doing the same thing. You're wasting that time. Everybody else is collaborating on open source tooling. I want you to get together and build something where you're doing what's called the undifferentiated heavy lifting. And that became the Open Mainframe project, 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 project, and I'm really proud to, in fact, I've been involved in that for the last 5 years since its inception. Yeah. And I think it worked. And what I think, it comes back to that band thing and that kind of welcomeness. When 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 started, we knew what we wanted to build. Some of it's successful, some of it's not, right? Some of it was a really bad idea because people rejected it, right?
There's no way. I don't believe that.
Well, think about it. Come back to your music analogy. So I mean, back in the day, I would buy like an LP. A lot of albums only have like maybe how many tracks in them have maybe five aside or something. So you might have 10 tracks, you might have 12 maybe. There's often only a few hits in there, right? There's a lot of duds sometimes.
Right. So you got the A side, that's the hits.
Yeah,
and the B
like
side is
a 45.
Yeah.
But even so, if you had an what the most interesting thing that we did at the time with the 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 project, we had this thing called, we had this big design camp we all got together. We had some very smart people back in the design camp. And the designers all looked like threes. Everything has to be based upon 3. It's just kind of 3 is a magic number. So we were allowed to have 3 things. The word was open, simple, and familiar. Open is like open source. It was a bit weird at the time. It was like, the mainframe's going to have open source software. We're like, yeah. Because a lot of mainframes were like, we can't do that, right? Because open source software is kind of, basically you've let kids in the world, right?
Right.
Yeah, they're just going to like eat all the candy and just trash. It's a bit like, you're a parent and the children are like, I'm like 50. I can have a party. Okay, what friends are coming?
Exactly.
And you need a little bit of that, Lisa. But then you kind of go away and you like stay away for the night because you need to let them be who they want to be, right? But you're also thinking, every time you hear a police siren go by or something, you're like, oh, really?
Yeah.
It's looking, is that smoke coming from my house burning down? But we've all been there because once upon a time we didn't care. So there were a lot of people who were like, open source and the mainframe, that's not going to work. You guys are just going to come in and just like, we have a lot like 55-year-old church, and you're just going to basically just burn it and trash it and just like, and it didn't happen because there was some governments who had that. Simple is a really interesting word because I suppose simple, there's a wonderful book. I've read it, and it's one that Edward said in that bookshelf called The Human User Interface by 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. We come back into that time when I was about in 1986 at university when I saw my first Apple computer, which literally, I mean, can you imagine? I mean, everybody now is like, well, like anybody can drag and drop and use a mouse and stuff. But I'm like, no, there was a time when you could, trust me.
Right.
And then to be in that moment and see something and you'd be like, what it says. I feel a bit like Scotty on the Star Trek, when he starts talking to the weird movie about Star Trek and the whales. It wasn't the best one. It's a wonderful line with Scotty. He starts talking to his mouse, just like, what is this? And he thinks it's some speed thing. Although actually now it's not too dated because that could be like Siri or Alexa. But the idea that you can drag something and click a button and you see a shape and you click it. Yeah. You have a print icon, you drag it to the printer and it like bzzz and print it. You'd be like,
right.
At the time, it was sci-fi. It was magic.
Right.
It really was. But so simple is interesting because simple has to be. That was simple. I didn't need to go on a class to learn it. It was like, it fitted in. And that's why the humane user interface, the book. And 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, everybody obviously knows the story behind Steve Jobs. And if you don't, I hope you do, because Google, he was absolute pioneer, genius, right? Genius who created Apple computers and even about Pixar, things like that. We understand much for that now. And then people pointing about Steve Wozniak, who was a hardware engineer, but the real genius behind the graphical user interface was 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, who died, unfortunately. So you have to know him sort of posthumously. And I think the book may even be finished by his son.
Wow.
But that's an incredible book. But that talks about interfaces inside and interfaces behind kitchen blenders, to compete. And even Apple, I said Johnny Ive was one of the incredible engineers. He knew how to build chairs that were beautiful, where you would have like a metal on a chair that then used the plastic on the back, a perfect way to weld it. So they got these people, like furniture engineer, people who knew how to design, consoles for airplanes. Because an airplane, I mean, if sometimes you get on a plane, you glance into the cockpit, you're like how would you know? Exactly. But for the pilots, it's how can they fly that without, what's happened to an organ? So it's still, for them, it's still a natural interface. That's why the word simple is an important one, because it's simple for who. It's going to be simple for who that person is. If that person's a rocket scientist, you can squill in dials and buttons. But if that person is like, literally wants to like make a smoothie, just I feel like, just put it in and I want a dial that's just like, like my toaster has a button on it that says, you just got it out of the freezer, you push this button, right? If it's fresh bread, you push this button. And it has a picture of the freezer.
Yeah.
I'm not going to make this mistake. And you push it on the button, your toast's going to be burned or it's not going to be done right. And then like when it's half done, you're like, when that's half done, what do I do? Do it another half again? Everyone's burnt toast, right? Yeah. Nobody likes burnt toast. Nobody likes exactly. So, but having that interface, that means that you don't need the manual. You get the toaster out of the box. And the manual, you're like, that's probably like a bunch of information, like, I don't know, whatever. I didn't need that. Just throw that, it's a toaster, just plug it in, toast, make a smoothie, right? Fly a plane, right? Because that's who you are. So like, it's important, like when pilots can learn how to fly the plane, and when they get into like a crazy complicated plane, it's a plane, this isn't that hard,
Right.
How hard this, and it's really hard to be.
This is who we are, and we train for this.
Exactly. So when you come to the familiar part, this always bugs me with like is that's a shifting sounds, because whoever comes into that space, what's familiar for them? You don't know. The only way you'll know is to make them be in the room. So you need diversity. And I love diversity because diversity is where magic happens, right? And if you can get diversity across whatever that means, across every spectrum, whatever, background, blah, 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 every possible meaning of that word, then you're going to get magic, right? And I love to eat like at restaurants. If I go to like I don't know, like a kind of a Japanese fusion restaurant, it's one of my son's favorites. Like, I've never had these flavors before. Yeah, where have you guys been? Right? Because like, where have you been in my life? This is incredible. Who would have thought that these two combinations or three combinations that would work together? And it's fresh and it makes me excited. It makes me want to go back. And that's why it's so, that familiar is never, it's not like, we're just going to build a step color here and we're just like, you create familiarity through diversity. If you recognize that everybody has different backgrounds and different challenges. I heard a wonderful one recently, and this is cool. It's called 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. I'm like, what the heck is 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵? So you get my background, genetics. I'm sorry for mansplaining you, but like everybody has like can see 3 colors.
Okay.
Dogs can see like no color. Parrots can see like 12 or whatever. But humans going to see 3 colors: red, green, and blue. So we have RGB. Somebody found out not that long ago. And some people, there's a 4th cone that can see a 4th color, because we're not really seeing colors. Like the rainbow, 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, orange and blue. So those colors are just blends of the one from the middle, but it's still a huge spectrum.
Yeah.
Right? We just see red because one thing's on, and then like boom, and then that thing goes off, something else goes on, and that thing goes off. So everything's a blend, right? Palette. But 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 can see a 4th color. But 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, here's a really cool thing. The 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, they've studied various 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵s, and they're all super creative. So if you're a 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 and a 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 paints a picture of green, they can have a look at that and go like, oh, that's amazing. I can see like a flower, a pond, and I can see everything mixed together. They can see, and you or I might look at it. You might be a 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, and they will look at that and go, oh no, that's a picture of like, beautiful flower and a fish and a waterfall or something. Because they can see colors that we can't. We can see like a green because we only have 3 chromosomes. But when I say we, 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵s can only be females. So, and it's, I think possibly 12%. So 12% of all women are 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵s without knowing that. So can you imagine all these people who are in class where the teacher would be like, what's this color? Hand goes up. The girl puts their hands up all the time and says, well, that's not, is this color the same as that color? And they'd be like, everybody would be like, yes, of course, that's really green. And she's saying about it going, no, that looks different, but we don't have a name for that color. And 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵s were only first catalogued by in science, I think not that long ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And that's a perfect example of you don't know that person's background. You don't know that they can see those extra colors until you get them in the room. And you give them the microphone, which is what you're doing with this podcast. Unfortunately, you have me in the podcast. But you have that person in and go, and you listen, you open both your ears and you put yourself on a tune and be like, maybe there's a truth behind that. They saw something different. So now let's go back and let's accept that whatever their viewpoint is, for them is reality. I might not be able to see that, but now as their user interface, they need that. And they call them colorblind, they call them color enhanced, a color superpower, because it is actually a superpower, but often it's miscategorized in color blindness, right? Which is a very negative, I don't think everyone blind anyway. I prefer like visually impaired, right?
Yeah.
Because it's on such a spectrum of things. Interestingly, I go running and I love to run. And one of the things I'm really proud of is I got a qualification for being a athletics recently to be a visually impaired guide. So I guide various people doing runs. The guy who's named Tony, he runs like a 5K run, a park run. He's 100% blind ever since birth, right? So you're tethered up to him, you're running in a race with 400 other people. It's tough, challenging, there's mud, there's puddles, there's all sorts of stuff. And all you need to do to make sure he gets through safely, right? So you don't want to say to him, oh my God, that thing's over there and it's really scary and don't worry about it, we're going to avoid it. Sure. He just doesn't need to know. You're just keeping him chatting.
Right.
But we're running around the race together. It's fun. So there are people in the race that you never see. Just never see. No. And as we're running, there's lots of voices going on. I'm talking to them, I'm giving instructions and saying, look, we're about to change, we're going from grass to tarmac, we've got some shoe meets coming up. I'm constantly narrating and making people feel relaxed. Suddenly we'll be like, hey, Tony. And he goes, oh, hi, Denise. Somebody else will go, oh, hi, Mike. So he'll pick out. I asked him one time, he goes, oh yeah, I can pick out like 2 Mini Cooper there, and then I can hear them from their voice. There's a little bit as well where we go running down a hill and there's like a bird egg. It seems weird because I'm not into like imprisoning birds, and I had a strange relationship with like the concept of the zoo, but most of them are around wildlife and preservation, so I'll forgive them. But there's like a bird egg, it's like a cage and some cute birds, and the kids go and they feed it and it teaches them awareness about being cool to wildlife. Now I can hear it like about halfway down the hill. So let's say I can hear it like, we could be 150 meters. And I've got like road traffic noise, but everything else going around me, we're going around the spot. And he's like, oh, so we're just coming up to like Avery Hill. And he knows because it's like a spider sense. He's attuned. And he calls himself blind. So I'll use the same pronoun to describe him. I say, 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. I'm like, dude, you're super. His senses on, because he's had to be. That's happened to him. Yeah. One time as well. So I'm driving home and it's probably like maybe 2 miles. When he gets a taxi down, I drive him back. If I make a wrong turn, he'll be like, dude, you made a wrong turn. Yeah. Or he'll be like, what's happening? Maybe I have to avoid or I have to overtake, or there's a bit of road construction traffic or something like that. And then the first time I drove it back, I went into the wrong parking lot. He lives in the state. And he's like, are you in the wrong car park? And I'm like, oh, the sat nav told me to go here, son. And then I realized why. I walked back home. Because in the right car park, there's like a little subtle bump that you go over. He goes, oh no, because we didn't go over the bump. And I thought he meant like a speed bump. You know when you go over like traffic, I don't know what you call them, big old bump in a school district, anywhere where they say, you know what, stop speeding, we're just going to put a freaking bump in there. Make it hurt you if you go over the bump. So the next time, exactly, I went down into the right parking space and I was expecting to use speed bump. It was a tiny thing, just a tiny, it was like change from one level of surface to the other. I couldn't even feel it. I went, he knew we were just a little bit out of the boat. And that's that whole inclusive of familiarity. And the other one, open, simple, and familiar. The simple, familiar, just make something familiar to whatever that person is. The world is a massive, beautiful tapestry. Coming back to my root in genetics, nobody who is identical twin has the same DNA as you. And nobody has the same upbringing as you. Nobody has the same life experience. Nobody has the same grandparents or the same whatever, the same like fear of the bathtub or whatever it is, and the way that they overcome that. Everybody has a different. That's what makes us so beautiful. Just embrace that and just listen to them. That will make you a better mainframe. It'll make you a better person as well. And if you're a better person, you're a better mainframe. You can good side to you. And your relationships will be better with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones, whoever it is. Like you buy a cup of coffee, and the person serving you, and we like being paid like I'm 20 to what you are. They have a little badge with a name. Just breathe it. Just say, hey, thanks, Wayne, good job, or whatever. Just smile, look them in the eyes, shake hands with something, look them in the eyes. And when you screw up, don't beat yourself up about it. Learn it. Go back, learn, invest the time for that. Don't ask for forgiveness. Right? Forgive yourself. That's the only way you want to actually. Wow, I'm so preachy now. I'm so sorry.
You're not.
We were talking about Steve. We were talking about 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 and 𝗧𝗶𝘰𝗵 and interface, but it's so important. And the other thing is, what I love about diversity as well. Like talking about music and something. Don't be smug and smart about your discipline. Like, it's a wonderful song, and I think it's for like everybody wears sunscreen. You the sun or not? Oh my God, we didn't listen to that earlier. Later, everybody wears sunscreen. There's a wonderful line in it. I forgot. It's 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, director of 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, and he said, "Don't beat yourself up. Most of your successes and failures probably just chance, and they are chance of birth, chance that you didn't flunk a particular exam, a chance that you did flunk it, but some other opportunity came and so don't beat yourself up about everything in life that didn't work out the way. It's kind of like the sliding door, or maybe more like the butterfly effect. It's like I meet people and they're like, oh, I wish I could go back and I wish I could undo that decision. And there are some really bad things that obviously do wish for that, especially if they're some terrible tragedy. But for the most part, you're like, well, you can undo that decision, but then you don't know. You don't know where that would have led. You just don't know. That could have led to something awful and unspeakable in your current life. So we can still come out and go, I'm grateful for what happened.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for what happened. We're all checking out one day, right? Me probably sooner than others on this conference, because I'm really looking at lots of young people walking past. Just
a lot of you.
It's a weird thing to say. I mean, obviously don't look forward to that day. The people that love you will greet you, but go out with your head high. Right? Yeah. You never know. Every night we fall asleep, that might be our lesson. I would like to not. I would like to not die. I would like this to not be my identified. No, I'm not good at it. But you know what I mean? It's like, and I didn't want to cry in front of you now, but I've had some life experiences that made me realize how precious life is. Right? So, and we anyway. So I'm talking about sharing, right? Precious. So, talk to me about like food pages. Talk to me about like,
of course,
talking about Kiwi.
No, we're talking about the journey. We're talking about how we're developing with teams, and you've just given us a whole bag of Java beans.
Whole bag of junk. Whole bag of Java beans. Oh, do you mean like coffee beans? Well, Java bean is actually like has but yeah.
Did you see what I did there?
What? You brought me back to coffee.
Java bean.
You look bad. You're good at this. You should do this.
I should do this, like, for real?
Yeah, sure. All over that.
I'm not editing anything. I do this live for a reason.
Okay. Does that mean you're prepared to what?
Probably. I don't even have chat, but it's okay.
You asked me about mainframe. I didn't like the word mainframe. And this is where I'm going to get. I don't want to start like getting political. I don't want to like tip the car. I didn't like the word mainframe.
Do tell.
It's a badge. I don't like badges. I don't like. Okay, I like tribes.
Okay.
There's a difference, right? I have some tribes.
Yeah.
And I think this community is like a tribe that I feel very welcome at. They welcome me. I get to talk about what I'm passionate about. I get to meet passionate people, and that's good. There are passionate people here. Lots of passionate people here who whether one of their passions is. But the second you say I'm a mainframe, it's a bit like, I think it's a Dr. Seuss book, and I've forgotten which one it is. Right? It's all about like some people are skinny and some people aren't, or whatever, or some people have feathers on them. So I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
But you can see what, right? You're creating an inclusive group of people.
Yeah.
And the second you're creating an inclusive people group, you're creating an entry criteria for what it means to be a mainframe. And the second you do that, it's so I'm British, so I can, and I'm sorry if this is an offensive being an American stuff. It's equivalent to putting like a whites only sign outside, right? It's you're saying to people, if you don't carry the right credentials with you, you're not part of this club. And I reject that, right? Because that's an ism, right? And so I don't like the word mainframe. Now I am very happy to talk to people, and I even get talks, my titles changed if I see the word mainframe and talk, because you can be an IT professional, information technology professional, all day long. And I don't care. You can come and talk to me about what's going on with, I use Raspberry Pi, which is a very lightweight platform running on Linux Raspberry at home. You can come and talk to me about whatever. And especially if we are working for at least IT professionals, for companies that will have the IBM Z16, right? Or maybe an earlier model in their IT department. And they'll have other stuff as well. They'll have like, some hybrid clouds, Microsoft Azure, web services, Kubernetes. I'm pretty good, thanks. So if you want to be yourself or bring the best to your employer, or bring the best to yourself, you need to work with other people within that organization. And I talked to somebody, and it was very early at the start of 𝗧𝗶𝗀𝗵 project, which is what I work on. And he was a director, possibly a vice president, very large Swedes back. And he said, the most important thing that I want from my mainframers is for them to stop calling themselves mainframers, because I want them to mingle, and I put them to mingling. And he said, I know who my mainframers are because I can walk into the cafeteria and they sit together. I know who they are because they have their own systems, their own set of tools. They're not diverse. They're not diverse. And diversity is not something that you could do by just putting people in who are younger or whatever, or trying to
percent of the personality higher in there. Yeah.
He needed them to sit at lunch with the non-mainframers. And I see this all the time, but when I first started working with it, I remember walking around the department. So my whole background is like Linux and Windows and things. And I would end up, so GUI, the word GUI is a word graphical user interface. It's a well-established word. And I remember the first time I learned it on a green, I remember putting my hand up, my first education class, about halfway through it. I said, is there a GUI? And the person who said to me, he said, what do you mean about GUI? I said, graphical user interface. He said, GUI's getting away. GUI's is sticky. GUI's slowing me down. And then he started quoting, and he goes, by the way, you're a WIMP. And a bunch of other people are like, and I'm like, okay, it's kind of weird. People are WIMP, right?
With somebody.
So WIMP, it stands for Windows Icon Mouse Pointer. And back in the day, when Microsoft Windows was, becoming sort of dominant computing platform, and it is now, basically.
Yeah.
Everybody's running Windows. I run Mac on my MacBook, but everybody runs GUI. And never had a good GUIs out there, GUI OS. The mainframe world was not being welcoming it. They weren't being accepting of it. Because to do a mainframer, the badge that you had was like text interface only, green screen only. You had to know all of this 4-letter acronyms, and even now, a friend of mine sent me a WhatsApp message with like a picture from a social media group where somebody said, I'm using a 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵 emulator and I can't hit the backspace key and delete text, right? Because, or if you hit the enter button in the wrong place, it starts flashing.
Yeah.
We can teach people how to do that, but we should be fixing it. It creates this barrier to entry. And that's why I don't like mainframes. It's not an inclusive barrier. There should be no barrier to entry. It should just be all about information. I love the word share, by the way, because it's all about sharing information. So open source, so my background is all about sharing technology and information. To be successful as an IT professional, you have to embrace the diversity of what it means to be off. So mainframes, they have this own little private language. Right? They talk about what other one? So they insulted me for being a WIMP at the time because I came from a Windows Icon mouse background. GUIs were sticky, had their own, they have their own secret language, and you could go into a mainframe talk and they could be quite hostile, I think, towards somebody outside the community coming in. things, we go back to, okay, certificates, mainframe certificates. It's slightly weird. And the word mainframe and like again. And then it also becomes, whenever you have an exclusive group, like sports. I love sports, right? My background, so I like to run. I'm not as fast as I was, but I used to want to be quite a quick runner. And when I was growing up, I loved the US track and field team, right? But not American, right? I mean, I grew up in the era of when I was a teenager and I was quick. Carl Lewis, greatest athletes around. Michael Johnson, some incredible athletes. Ed Moses, 410 meters, just phenomenal athletes. I would support the US track and field. These are two fully 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵. Up now it's Jamaican and a sprint team. I will support excellence wherever it is, right? Because I love the craft of being fast, right?
Right.
These guys are great. And I wouldn't be tribal about it. I wouldn't be, then my tribe was running, okay, but I wouldn't be like, well, they're not English, right? How dare they? Right? I'd be like, gold medal, best person out all day long. Right? Posters of Carl Lewis growing up, it's really inspired. Not in that, what a beautiful man. I mean, he still is a wonderful man. Still, Michael Johnson. These are amazing people. All day long, head to foot, 360 individuals. But I see people who follow sports who are like, well, my team are like, okay, so you like basketball, whatever. And you went to a match and the other team played better. That means they're better basketball. Like, okay, maybe obviously it can be really close and there can be little nuance of it. But you should champion everybody for the sport you love, the thing you love. Don't be tribal about it. Don't be like, don't be unwelcoming, right? Embrace somebody else's success and being successful at whatever. So the mainframe is like, I see this like, oh, people are moving off the platform. How dare they? We invented this first. How dare they do this? How dare they go something? You're paid for by your employer to do something. If that's the right direction, embrace that, enjoy it. Smart, just the job is to not be so bigoted about,
or maybe dogmatic about.
Yeah, it's just like everything moves on. Nobody programs with punch cards anymore, right? At some point in time, nobody's going to program with. I remember when I first, and again after that training course when I first in mainframe, I was using the word 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. I'm not putting it to. So like, well, 𝗏 is graphical, we use 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏. Type user interface. They tried to normalize the fact. I'm like, no, you're using something that's literally like you're trying to light fire by rubbing two sticks together.
Sorry. Good.
Does that mean we've talked for so long, like your laptop batteries run down?
No, because I have it plugged in right here.
Sorry, I'm just messing with you.
Yeah.
But it comes back to, anyway, I mean, I think I've said that point, but I just don't like that. And then meet mainframe people as well. And they would say, there's the non-mainframe world. What's the non-mainframe world? Is this like, I don't know, is it like some underwater world? Is it like whatever? What do you mean non-mainframe? We're just humans trying to do stuff. Mostly the business can put in, right? They have problems. Jump in, it's us. Bring it back, bring the A game, bring your problem solving plan. So that problem, whatever that problem is, don't be the kind of last person standing, when the ship goes down. And I am passionate about IBM's mainframe technology, and I want to see it evolve. But we could be our own worst enemy, right? By using that label of a mainframe, we create a label of a non-mainframe. We have that label of that mainframe that's only. We are our own worst. We're going into a dark place, right? And I don't think that's a bad thing, because the world outside is where we should be. We should just be part of it. We should be looking like non-special. There should be nothing special.
I hear what you're saying, and I love the passion that's coming from there. And I think what I'm hearing is, what am I trying to say? You're saying what I'm gleaning is be inclusive. Make sure that folks are able to have access to be able to learn these technologies and bring them.
Learning yourself.
And don't stop learning.
I see people at this conference who are like, weeks away from retirement. Bless them. I mean, thank you for your service. But I want, I don't want to be the person that's giving the same talk. I don't want to be the musician that's just like playing the tracks I did in the 80s when I came back. I want to be coming here. I want to be fresh, but bringing things from outside. We remember what it was. Yeah, the main thing is we just say, no, we're just in IT. We need to get out a little bit more. We need to understand what the limit to all this does. We need to understand. And we're not just paying lip service to it.
Yeah.
Right? We need to truly jump in if you have to.
And it's mainframe and so mainframe and this mainframe and that. I love how you bring this fresh perspective. And it's not, I hate to say fresh, because at the end of the day, it's all of our systems, they're really talking to each other, and they're really working together.
Yeah, I would like to say it in fresh. It's just a human perspective.
Yeah.
Because, and I'm not alone. I have some great people around. I know 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵's talent at this conference was phenomenal. We runs a Discord community. I just saw some amazing people walk past. We have this, but I quarrel a lot with people about.
You don't quarrel. There's not a quarrel in you. You do not quarrel.
You know, wouldn't it be so ironic if I said I completely disagree with what you just said, right? Because that would be the irony about the fact that I would be quarreling about the fact you said I didn't quarrel, so therefore I was quarreling.
Do you quarrel for real?
No, I'm just laughing. I have red lines. I have red lines. Prejudice is one of them. Yeah, you will.
Really?
Yeah, and I admit that I am myself prejudiced. Everybody is. We all have a background. We are all prejudiced. We all have hidden biases. But we should all accept those and do everything we can to listen.
Yeah.
Which is why I keep talking about Dr. Cameron. I don't want to pick on him, but I love following him on social media.
We love
because he teaches you things that I had no idea about, and I learn and I become smarter, and then maybe my kids can become smarter or whatever, and the world can become a better place. We all, even if we can just turn that needle by 0.0000 infinity one, we help to turn that needle, and that's just a good thing. And he has his foot pedal to the metal,
absolutely,
or one in that's that. You've gotten to those men, but I would just encourage every main. Don't doubt yourself. You are a deeper fight. Don't be the bigot in the. Do not become that person. Otherwise, you'll tire. You'll leave this club, and then you'll be like kind of shutting from it. I see this as well. Just be done with it, right? It doesn't matter. Nobody rides. People used to get horses to get around. The monkey parts and the motor cars. So Henry Ford, Ben car, or whatever. And it wouldn't be like, yeah, cool. But technology. I'm sure at the time there were people who just like, oh, horse is better.
Yeah.
There were people now who still ride horses, and it's great. Love horses to bits. Give me race horses and own horses and that one. Sure. We like get around. I mean, I'd stick my app and call it Uber, right? Get public transport if I can, and stuff like that. Just, times change. Don't be the horse. Horses only come. Be that transport. That's why I don't like the term. Because you just talk to prejudice, and I've talked to inclusion. Once you have inclusion, you have exclusion. Once you have exclusion, great diversity, and you just kind of the society of mean people. It can happen so quickly. You can blink your eye, and it can be gone like that. We are not a society of people who enjoy bringing smart, passionate people around using IT to solve business problems. Something new comes in, whatever that new thing is, embrace it. Learn it and embrace it. Whether it's Python, whether it's actually it's quite old, whatever it is, Golang, Rust, all day long I'll be trying to learn these technologies because there's some cool stuff out there. And even if it's not as good as whatever,
it's not going to hurt you, right? It's not going to haunt you or take away your dog.
To be a producer, not a consumer. That was one other thing. Can we get to my granddad, bless her? The other thing, everybody has a choice in life. It's like if you like music,
and
you like listening to music, learn to play music constantly. We can all do this, right? And I don't care if you're just like drummer and just tapping out a beat on your fingers or something, or if you're like a violinist or a cellist or keyboard, or whatever it is, right? Learn to do something. Learn to sing. Right? Forget what I was going with that, but learn something. And if you read about something, just learn it. Don't always consume. So like blogging, I like to read other people's blogs, but I like to write blogs as well. Be a producer. Don't just be a consumer. It's really good. Like, if you enjoy eating delicious food, become a great cook. Just learn. Yeah, just learn. Keep fast. It's so important. Learning is so important. You see a lot of families. So my parents are getting older now. So my mother, she always plays card games and what my cards. I need because she says, when you play, you put like aces. Okay.
Yeah.
She gets half his game and she's like, oh, I lost this. What do you mean? No, I really know I lost that. Because she's like that for her. And she's like, and I always like, I put the king and the 8 on the 4th. I won. She's like halfway through. She's like, yeah. See ya. My granddad, I was playing cribbage with my granddad. Like cribbage anyway. You play a certain game. And I'm sitting there waiting to play my cards. Somebody's like, play your 7. How do you know I had the 7? just know because you didn't do that earlier, and you did that, and then like 4 games ago you didn't do that move. So I just know you have the 7. The genius. And I just know because
Yeah.
good card players can do that, right? They just know.
Absolutely.
And they're really good cards for 7. And then you would put your card down. I'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to do the score, and he's like, oh yeah, you've got 41. No, because it's just like boom, it's like a picture memory. So it's like that kind of brave man. Yes, stay fresh. It's really important. Don't stop learning. Don't stop giving up. Don't stop changing. Like I meet people and they're like, "Oh, I'm so and so's fan." Have your passion around your home team. Support your home team for sure.
Right.
You have a choice. Fabulous team comes in. Like if you're lucky enough to see the US track and field team, I've never seen it. I'd love to see them compete. Or the Jamaican track and field team. Oh my God! To see, absolutely.
If you can watch them train, just to glean, like, what is it that they're doing that we're not doing? I need to see, but yeah, that's the whole.
And the passion, running hurts. When you run, it hurts. Your body hurts. Your heart intense high rate. So you have to be able to do it. It's almost like a Zen thing. You have to be able to do. I mean, you have to be physically strong, gifted, born with the right DNA, but you have to model. And then to be that elite,
right?
To go, you know what? I'm not happy with 8 of this. I need to be on the podium. I need that gold medal. I need to have that edge to be that 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, to be the Michael Johnson. Right now, 𝗧𝗶𝘀𝗵, he was incredible marathon runners. Like a marathon runner, 26.2 miles. The pace that they run at, I could barely do 1 mile at that pace on a track. Track shoes.
Right.
And these guys are just running and stuff. And you look at them running, and you're like, I can't compute. Because I've got on a treadmill, either up and tried to run at that speed or tried to run it on the track. I might bust it out for a few laps, a couple of laps, maybe 400 and 800. It's insane.
Too much.
To respect them. Don't look at the country they run for, or something. Just respect them. Don't look for it's like look at an IT professional does something incredible. It's be like, they'll be paying fair. They're not one of us. Respect that.
See what they're doing. They can see what you're doing.
Bring them in.
Yeah.
Bring them into the church or one way. But we're running out of time.
Listen, I have had you here.
Good way to look.
The sun has it hasn't.
It sounds like the line of the Michael Jackson song.
Yeah, but we have sat here and had the most. I have had the most delightful time.
Likewise, pleasure was on mine.
Mine too. And you know what, folks, listen. If you guys have not ever been out to see the Open Mainframe Project, please do. If you have not tuned in and listened to this conversation, please do. I might go in and cut this up and do some edits.
Please do.
Please do. I might TikTokify some of it, but you are a gem.
Thank you so much. Likewise. And thank you for letting people, letting people's voice be heard.
I honestly, truly believe that everybody has a story and people need to be able to vocalize what's in here and up here. And I just love to hear what's in everybody's head and heart. And you let us have it today. I really appreciate you. And we're right here at Share.
I know.
Is there any last few words you want to say before we close down? Before it rains? Like I hear it rains at this time every day though.
Always forgive yourself.
Yeah.
Always put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you do something, but even afterwards, if you do need to kind of make some repairs and something like that. But that's all. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes. Don't preach. Listen more. Never stop. That joy, that moment, right? When you see something incredible, right? Don't ever lose sight of that. You can do that all through your life. And being in IT, we have that chance. We really are part of a frontier. Don't be stuck in the mud. Don't be bigoted. Don't be isn't. Right? Don't be mainframe isn't. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. There's all these things hashtag mainframe. But I get it. I get the fact that the community has to work to run it up.
And it's a community, right? Like mainframe community is awesome. Mainframe community, but I love how you shared your experience being in class, and telling us that portion of your experience. I love how you have educated us on how not to be that guy or person. Listen, I'm trying to be good.
I know you.
And And we thank you for sharing your experiences and your expressions, because sometimes there might be somebody that is experiencing that same thing, and you sharing that.
Yeah. Oh, please, if you do experience that, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But you be better. There's a wonderful phrase, I think Michelle Obama had it, and I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm not a US citizen. So I respect all political views in the US, but there was something where she said, when they go low, we go high. I love that. Yeah. Don't go low. Go high. Learn. Be better. Don't view it as a victory over them. Just view it as whatever they took out of the planet, you put it back in and you double it. You view it as it's happened. Don't make it about, So don't make it a fight, don't make it a struggle, and get down in the dirt, wrestle with the pig. But I love that.
Because the pig likes it.
Yeah, because the pig like. But I think it was Michelle Obama that did that.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for spending time with us today. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, Tish.
And thank you, everybody, for coming through. We really appreciate you in all of the internet, and we really do appreciate you coming out and spending time with us here at this special time. So we'll talk to you soon. You have a wonderful day.
Go ahead. Cheers. I'm sorry.
And let me